Let's continue with cricket on the SportsMax zone. Over the weekend, West Indies wrapped up a 3-2 T20 series win over India, their first in 6 years against the Asian side. Following their comprehensive 8-wicket win on Sunday, white ball head coach Daren Sammy spoke about what's needed to help rebuild Windies cricket. The two-time T20 World Cup winning captain says rebuilding requires a change in every facet of the regional game. Obviously, myself and Test coach Andre Kohli just got the job. This is a lot of work. We've had meetings with the president, Dr. Kishore Shallow, the new director, Miles Bascom, the CEO, Johnny Grave, on how we could impact change, not only the players but the system in general. Having better facilities for the guys to train, the preparation, the attitude towards fitness. Too many times guys are on the physio table injured. All of this is the culture shift we need to see happen. The general picture is to try to change the culture, the work culture, and it involves everybody. Things are going to change. All right, let's get the thoughts of international cricket commentator Fazil Mohammed. Good afternoon, Faz.
Good afternoon, Mariah. Good to be on the show.
Always a pleasure to have you on the SportsMax zone. So I'll start by asking you your thoughts on what head coach Daren Sammy had to say.
Yeah, well, I think we've heard many people talk about the same thing. He referenced facilities and some other matters, but I think the most important thing is what he mentioned subsequently, attitude. The issue is that, yes, you can always find deficiencies because of our small size, because of our failure to develop a lot of our physical infrastructure, even after the 2007 World Cup and so on. But fundamentally, the issue must be one of attitude, because the same players excel in different platforms, whether it's IPL, CPL starting tomorrow, some franchise or the other, where the motivation is there. So there has to be something deficient as far as the attitude of the players. It's not about their aptitude, their ability, because as I said again, we saw it for much of this series against India, which has just come to an end. We see it in the different franchises all over the world, different teams that they may be playing for. But when they come together under the umbrella of the West Indies, there seems to be, whether it's a lack of motivation, a lack of appreciation as to what it means to play for the West Indies. So it's a difficult challenge. It's all well and good to have meetings with the president and the CEO and the new director of cricket and so on. But it's about whether or not you can get the players to be so motivated to appreciate that there's something significant with playing for something significant in playing for that entity known as the West Indies.
Yeah, and Faz, when I think cultural change, I think it's something that is ingrained in us. It's something that is a part of us. How difficult will it be, under this administration to effect this cultural change?
Well, it really depends, Marianne, which culture we're talking about. Are we talking about the culture of being laid back and relaxed? Nothing is wrong with that, Nothing is wrong with being laid back and relaxed and laughing and joking in and about and around the cricket. But if you're down to business when the cricket is going on, then that's fine. But if that lackadaisical attitude, that don't care a damn, couldn't be bothered whether Tuesday falls on a Wednesday, or if I make 5 today or 50 tomorrow, or if I get none for plenty or 4 for something the next day, then that is something significant. So talking about culture change, it can sound intimidating, but it really depends on what do you want to achieve. Do you want to achieve an environment where everybody's absolutely happy and enjoying one another's company? You're not going to get that in the West Indies. It's very difficult to achieve that level of complete harmony. What you want to achieve is a culture change that values playing for the West Indies and excelling consistently for the West Indies. That to me is the culture change we need to get.
Yeah, and having said that then, Faz, are you of the opinion then that is what has been impacting the lack of consistency in the team? Because we saw even in this last series where the difference between the West Indies' good performances and bad performances would have been like night and day.
Absolutely, and that's why I reference our players' performances in other platforms where they excel, where they are in demand, where they are considered part of the leadership group. Here you have a situation where, as you said, today win by a mile, tomorrow lose by a mile. And the question is, what accounts for that? It can't be ability. It has to be a lack of concentration. It has to be a lack of application. What is contributing to that? What is it about playing for Mumbai Indians or playing in the MCL? Or this is the case of Nicholas Puran, who's really at the top of his game right now. And then on another occasion, he'll fall flat. What is it about those environments? Is it purely about the money? If that is the case, then we might as well pack up and go home, because there's no way that Cricket West Indies can ever match consistently what is being earned by our players in those franchise formats. So it has to be that there's a lack of motivation, a lack of desire, a lack of that pain of losing in the West Indies colours. Otherwise, if there was a tremendous sense of anguish about losing, we wouldn't see where the West Indies where they are now in the rankings.
You mentioned attitude at the top of your response, Faz, and I looked closely at the interview post-game with Daren Sammy and his body language and the usual Daren Sammy kind of narrative, very, very passionate, very committed to getting the job done. What were your thoughts on the things he said regarding his relationship, like with the captain, Rovman Powell? He spoke of the good relationship he has with the captain and a seeming willingness for someone like a Shimron Hetmyer. I don't want to read too much into what we've seen in the past week, but at least it appears as if Shimron Hetmyer looks willing now to be in West Indies colours, which I don't think we could have said that last year. Is Daren Sammy making an impact?
Let's hope so. I think it's too early to say. Because again, winning this series against India is fine. Yes, any victory is good, but sometimes you can take it too far. Let's be honest about it and acknowledge that even in the one-day series, India were experimenting. They are looking ahead to the 50-over World Cup. They're experimenting as well in this T20 series just ended. In all likelihood, if it were a really competitive series, if elimination in some world tournament was on the line, when Hardik Pandya won the toss on Sunday, he would have put the West Indies into bat and not batted first. So again, it's not trying to diminish what the West Indies achieved in beating India, but putting it in the context that this is really supposed to be a stepping stone to bigger things. This is not the cause célèbre. This is not something that you say, well, okay, we've done this, now we can conquer the world. No, but yes, Sammy is saying the right things. Of course, as a coach, as an official, as a player, a lot of what really goes on is behind the scenes. Can you win over the players? Remember, it was less than 2 weeks ago. We were highlighting what Shimron Hetmyer said about the easygoing attitude and some people in the coaching level trying to change it, and he didn't seem too much on board with it. Maybe it's changed since then. Maybe a discussion has taken place. So we are just speculating here. But at the end of the day, Lance and Mariah and everyone else who's following this discussion, the fans of West Indies cricket, the followers of West Indies cricket, even those who have admired West Indies cricket for decades, really couldn't give a flying rotten sappadilla about all of this talk and whatever you promised. They want results. And at the end of the day, it's results when they matter, like qualifying tournaments, like World Cups, like World T20s. And that is going to be the real proving ground. So yes, it's a good start, but is it really going to be a start to something meaningful?
Yeah. All right, fans, we're going to leave it there. Of course, the West Indies will have a lot of work to do to recapture the imagination and passion from the fans, a lot of them who have lost confidence in this team. But I think Daren Sammy recognises the job at hand, and his captains as well, Craig Brathwaite in Test cricket and Rovman Powell and Shea Hope, who are the white ball captains. Thanks, Faz. We'll be talking again soon, I'm sure.
Always a pleasure. Take care, Lance.
Yeah, interesting comments there from Fazir, Ricardo and Mariah, because I was mentioning earlier on during the break that, while we celebrate this success over India, I think when October comes and the 50-over World Cup starts and the West Indies won't be there, there will be a lot of pain among West Indies fans when it will be driven home forcefully to us that we fell really, really short in the qualifiers, and it is almost unthinkable that a 50-over World Cup is on and the West Indies aren't playing.
Exactly, and I totally agree with Faz on the fact that, you know, there is a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to changing this culture. Yes, it feels really, really good that we were able to be the #1 team, India, in that T20 series. But for me, we just have to, one, celebrate that we won, but we have to continue along that path. And I think it's going to take, you know, a lot of work, a lot of different discussions, a lot of personal changes among the Windies players if we are to get back to any sort of competitive ways.
Yeah, Lance and Mariah, very much the case. And you know, I've already come to terms, Lance and Mariah, with the fact that we're not going to the 50-over World Cup.
I think most of us are, but I'm saying when the tournament starts and we are not seeing the West Indies, I think there's going to be a different kind of hurt.
I understand, but I'll be fine. What I want to see now is how we approach next year's T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
And we've already seen that we've started to put the pieces together. But how will we maintain this over the course of the next 10 months or so to ensure that we're not having some of the same discussions we had ahead of the 50-over tournament, ahead of the T20 tournament next year? So all that Daren Sammy said, and as Fats pointed out, he is saying all the right things, but will it materialize when it matters? That's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
we're going to break now. Track and field fans, stay tuned because we have some Budapest talk coming up after the break, and it's going to be very, very exciting as we head to the World Championship this weekend. Back with more after this.